Good day indeed! The topic for today's video is the first live appearance of that metal mayhem maker, Metallo! So, alright, let's go!
Yeah! So we start off with Roger Corben, who is like really knocking on death's door. This guy is having massive heart problems, chest pains, like he's feeling faint. He needs a doctor, like yesterday, but instead of getting medical attention, he decides to rob an armored truck at the bank. In broad daylight, no less. Lucky for him, there's only one guy handling the cash for the armored truck, because backup is completely stupid, I guess, and Corben ganks the money from the guard really quick and easy. But, unlucky for him, Clark Kent is at the bank with his friends Andy and Lana, and he sees this whole robbery go down. So he goes into Superboy mode to stop Corben, but Superboy doesn't even have to do anything because Corben has a heart attack and dies. Holy crap! Wow, well gee, I guess that's the shortest episode ever made, hey? Well, no, because Corben comes to in a hospital where he finally gets the help he so desperately needed. So to thank the doctor who saved his life, from the heart attack, he kills the doctor. Like in a hospital, like nobody's seen or heard this? Just flat out cold blood, like holy crap! He takes the now blood-soaked clothes of the doctor and walks out of the hospital like nothing happened. The dude is not even dressed like a surgeon and nobody questions him why he's covered in blood? Not one person says, "Holy crap, doctor, which patient needs help because they're bleeding so profusely?" No. Not even that. Like what? Like, "Wow, doc, just another bad day at the office?" Regardless, while fleeing the scene in a presumably stolen car, Corben has another heart attack and gets blown up in a car for good measure. The doctor's revenge from the grave! Wow, so this is the end of the story, right? Again, nay! This Corben's not dead! He's in some crazy lab of some sort! Like, my god, man! This guy keeps dying, eh? Like, how can things get worse for him? Well, this lab belongs to some crazy scientist medical guy who apparently watched too many episodes of The $1 Million Man because when he found Corben in the car wreck, he figured, "We can rebuild him. We have the technology." And so he did. He turned Corben into Metallo. Part man, part machine. He's got robot arms, robot heart, robot appendages, and his robot heart is just as cold as his old one. His robotic parts are powered by this weird green glowing gem, which makes Metallo like super strong. And to thank the crazy doctor for saving his life, he kills him. Hey, what a horrible pattern! And so he goes after the one person who ruined his life by saving it, Superboy. Meanwhile, Superboy is receiving a community award in a packed arena for being super, I guess, or something. But Metallo bursts into the arena to confront Superboy and, well, what the hell? Superboy is turning green, he's getting sick, he's like just losing consciousness. What the hell is happening? Like, this makes no sense. So now that Metallo has defeated Superboy and Supes has, tucked his tail and ran, Metallo is living the big life, man. The world is yours, Metallo, because he has the money, the power, and the women. And he goes on a casual little crime spree. Meanwhile, Clark is reading some of Superboy research notes from his good buddy, Professor Peterson, and in it, Peterson discovered a green gem that glows, which he calls kryptonite. And this kryptonite gem is harmful to Superboy, and only lead could block its radiating powers. Therefore, Superboy yells across the city for literally everybody to hear, challenging Metallo to a fight at the scrapyard, where Superboy does his best Tony Stark impersonation and builds himself a lead suit of armor. So now it's Superboy versus Metallo, round 2, fight! And the fight is off to a pretty good and well, Metallo punched off Superboy's armor pretty quick and is killing him instantly. Oh man, Supes, and I had such high hopes for you. Superboy, in an act of desperation with one armored glove, is able to grab the kryptonite and seal it in this lead glove of his so he can save his own life and make Metallo powerless, and is arrested. Hooray! So the day is saved! Superboy is not dead, Metallo is in jail, and Andy can start selling his Superboy t-shirts, while Lana just hangs out. Hooray! And with that is the end of this series. Fantastic tale.
Yeah, man, Metallo! With a name like that, you would assume it would actually be a tribute band to Metallica, right? Landmine! Let's take him out straight! Take him out right! But still, man, like, what an awesome character, right? So, especially for the early days of Superman, like, you know, he didn't have a whole lot of super-powered villains to go up against, but Metallo was definitely one of them. So it was pretty cool to see these two go toe-to-toe in live-action TV there. Although, you know, it's like not too hard to tell, but the version of Metallo in this TV show is incredibly different from the Metallo in the comic books. Well, appearance-wise, right? Comic book Metallo is more like the T-800 from the Terminator movies, a cyborg with fake skin, and in this show, man, you know, kind of the exact opposite. I don't know if they made him look like that in the show because maybe the budget wasn't that great, like, I don't really know. But, like, if some random doctor in the middle of nowhere is putting somebody back together in their kind of makeshift lab, he was just slapped together with whatever the good doctor had lying around. So, yeah, you know, I can get behind that. Also, for the fact that supervillains, you know, in the comic books are usually pretty muscular, you know, pretty big like that. And the Corben in this episode has a little bit more flab than muscle, you know? But it's all good, man, because realistically, if you're powered by a super suit, right, like, you don't need to be really muscular. The machine is your muscle, right? So some 2-bit crook who didn't even take care of his own health, you know, like with the constant heart attacks, like, holy crap, yeah, man, he could be a super-powered being. And I guess while we're on that topic, you know, like, I guess, you know, Superman doesn't even need to be really muscular, right? It's his Kryptonian cells powered by the yellow sun where he gets all of his strength, not from, you know, working out. But I digress. This episode was actually pretty good though, man. Like, I do gotta say, it does have that late 80s, early 90s kind of cheesy charm to it, man. So, like, that part I really do like. And the story itself was pretty good and to the point. Some things did seem pretty corny, you know, like Superboy yelling across the city, challenging Metallo to a fight. But it made perfect sense! For one, like, he didn't know where Metallo was, so might as well just get his attention the old-fashioned way. And for two, like, the citizens of the city were losing faith in Superboy that he could beat Metallo, so he had to let them know, yeah, man, I'm gonna kick his metal ass, you know? And he did! Kicked his ass in a scrapyard, man! And yeah, man, it was actually a pretty good fight, right? Like, it was pretty reminiscent of evil Superman versus good Clark Kent from Superman 3 when they fought in that scrapyard. But still, as I say, man, great episode. Great to see this great villain, you know, being great in this, you know, series. And it was pretty charming, maybe except for when Metallo kind of flat out murdered that doctor in the hospital. That kind of threw me for a loop. But other than that, you know, pretty charming. And now we shall learn more about Metallo and other stuff from this episode over here.
So yes, Metallo indeed! So there were some earlier characters in the Golden Age called Metallo, but they were completely different characters, with different powers and origins. The Metallo that we all know and love and hate, you know, from this episode, well, he first appeared in Action Comics number 252 in 1959. His real name is John Corben, and his supervillain origin story is pretty similar from the comics to this episode in the fact that, well, John Corben was a complete jerk, a murderer, a thief, a crook, and he got into a horrible car accident and was saved by Professor Vale, where Professor Vale performed this life-saving technique only on animals before, as was mentioned in the episode, and never on a human up until now. But he did it because he wanted John Corben to live, right? Hippocratic Oath and all that kind of stuff. The difference kind of between the two origins is, in the comics, Corben's brain was transplanted into a robot body and had synthetic skin covering it, making him look completely human still, but he was like a robot. And he was originally powered by uranium before he found kryptonite as a much more powerful energy source. Whereas in this episode, Corben was still mostly human with just robotic elements replacing damaged limbs and organs and all that kind of stuff. I guess technically like an exoskeleton, but you know, like it's definitely showing and not hidden like his comic counterpart. Also for the fact that in this episode, the character's real name is Roger Corben, not John Corben. John Corben was the original Metallo of this type, whereas Roger Corben was the Bronze Age version of Metallo, John's younger brother. But the origin story in this episode is that of John. Why they did that? Je ne sais pas. Metallo's origin was slightly updated in Superman Volume 2, Number 1 in 1987, where sure, yeah, Corben was still a crook and a jerk, was in a horrible car accident saved by Professor Vale. The main difference though was that Professor Vale hated and feared Superman and created Metallo as a weapon to kill the Man of Steel, where he gave him kryptonite right off the bat and where Metallo killed Vale instantly. So seeing as Superboy learned about kryptonite for the first time in this episode for the Superboy series, let's talk a little bit about that funky space rock there, eh? So, kryptonite first made its appearance in the Superman radio show in 1943 in an episode entitled The Meteor from Krypton. And it was kind of used as a necessity, not so much as a story plot. So Superman voice actor Bud Collyer, you know, sometimes he wanted a day off or two, or he wanted to go on vacation, and he wouldn't be on the radio show, so like how do you explain Superman not being around on the Superman show? Well, you have this green glowing space rock that makes Superman sick, and you say, well yeah, Superman's here, but he's recovering at home, you know, meh. Let's focus on Lois Lane and Perry White for this episode, you know? So for the producers and the actors of that show, man, like it actually worked out pretty good, right? However, kryptonite was conceived for the comic books like back in the day, although it was never shown. Superman co-creator Jerry Siegel did write a story called The K-Metal from Krypton in 1940, where this funky metal would drain Superman's powers, you know, not kill him, just drain his powers. But DC Comics decided not to run with that story, and well, the concept was there until it was finally used in radio. Man, like, the depths of Superman's lore is just insane! But kryptonite would make it to the comics, where it was added officially in Superman number 61 in 1946. And the rest of kryptonite is history. And what a crazy history for kryptonite, man. Like, holy jeez, eh? Kryptonite comes in a variety of colors, with each different color of kryptonite affecting Superman in many different ways. But, you know, for this featured episode, we only seen the green kryptonite, you know, that weakens and kills Superman. So we'll talk about the other kryptonites as they come up later. The really quaint thing near the end of the episode is when Superboy would wear that kind of clunky looking lead armor, you know? It didn't look that good or that comfortable, you know, but it saved Superboy's life for a while, right? So I guess it was pretty good. And indeed, in the comics, Superman did wear a lead suit, you know, on occasion, kind of like we've seen in this episode here, although it would look a whole lot better. Especially depending on which era of Superman you're reading, right? Like, he did have that gray kind of a basic suit. Similar to the episode, he also did have a fantastic K-suit, which looked a lot better. But still, a kryptonite protective suit nonetheless. And when I watched it, you know, I gotta tell you, the first thing that came to my mind when I seen him wearing that clunky armor suit was of a different super character wearing armor, which would be John Henry Irons, aka Steel. Which, yeah, for sure, man, Steel's uniform is definitely more tailored, you know, and it looks a hell of a lot better, right? But still, Superboy having a gray suit with that red cape, I was like, holy crap, man, that looks almost exactly like a horrible Halloween costume version of Steel. So it's technically foreshadowing of John Henry Irons, I guess, eh? But still pretty good. Also, I do like how Clark Kent's friend Andy has started making Superboy t-shirts to sell, and yeah, if you're any Superman fan like me, you can easily find a multitude of Superman t-shirts out there. So, life imitating art imitating life, I guess, or something. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this episode up until this point, and kind of the main kind of points of it and all that kind of stuff. So we will leave it there for now. And yeah, man, with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that. Also, if you guys are interested, I created my own superhero show, and I have the first episode out already. The Adventures of the Density. So if you guys would like to check it out, I'll have a link above here and a link at the end of the video for you to peruse there. Yeah, right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.